Just here to
Is
moderate.
my audio good?
Yeah, your audio's good.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Okay, so obviously things have been like kind of like, spiraling around, which some of which kind of funny. We've made some jokes here and there, but of course we like, care about, getting down to the facts of the matter. So like I think cuz maybe you haven't seen it or whatever, but have you seen the tweet from this guy saying, "Bolt, you're a pedo apologist." Have you seen that?
Yeah, isn't that PJ?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is.
I figured.
As a favor to PJ, because he did ask. If you could refrain from telling people that's PJ's account, he would appreciate it.
Is
Yeah.
that like his alt or something?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
like
it's
his
his.
old or
I
some
don't think
shit.
it's his alt. Is it his alt? I don't have his main then. If that's his alt, but I'm pretty sure he just doesn't want people to know that he's on
Yeah,
Twitter.
he just doesn't want that to be known. But at the same time, of course, it's fair to talk about the claim, right? So, it really just just to be clear on this, it spawned from comic legends saying that apparently, you still stood by something about the Goblin Slayer thing about a scene where like there's a miner that's naked in like a bathing scene, and they like focus on the person's curves or whatever. Um, and he's basically saying that you still defend that. So I guess that's probably the first source of confusion. Do you still defend the scene, or like what's going on with that?
Have you watched the scene?
Yeah, I've watched the scene.
Okay, so you know the context.
Yeah.
What's the context?
The context is that like they're bathing and they're talking about like it's kind of like a calm-ish scene where they're
The
like just
they're talking about the priestess's crush
yeah.
on the Goblin Slayer.
By
Okay.
the way,
I mean,
by the way,
It's
just for clarification, Bolton asked just to double check it so everyone's on the same page. He wasn't being condescending. I was gonna be like,
well,
okay,
yeah, I know, I know.
that's all it was, just to
So,
just
so
have on
I'll,
the same
so I'll also
page.
clear up. I have seen the show. I have pirated the show. And I did read a little bit of the manga, but I don't know if the part of the manga I read was in order because I was expecting certain things to happen, but then like things from the anime were happening. So I'm pretty sure I ended up reading the manga out of order by accident. But I have read a little bit of the Goblin Slayer manga as well.
Gotcha.
okay.
Yeah, so like I mean, I was just trying to ask like do you still like defend that part of the scene or like what's going on?
So just to give clarity, that scene is you got like the basics of that scene right. It's more of a scene for two things because it has the sword maiden, it has Goblin Slayer, and it has the priestess. Those are the three characters in that scene. And one of the purposes of that scene is it's the sword maiden kind of like laying down
Sorry, I
to
had to
Goblin
cough.
Slayer like what's going on, like what's the goblin issue that it was brought to his attention, like where it's what the problem is, and it's also brings to light some of the sword maiden's insecurities in regards to her her and goblins, because there's an insinuation that she like got raped or molested by goblins,
Hmm.
and that's why she hates goblins so much, and that's why she views the Goblin Slayer as like their savior. And the reason the priestess is there is because the priestess admires the sword maiden and also accompanies Goblin Slayer. So that's why they're both in that scene together. So just want to clear that up. And then just to answer the base question is no, I do not support any attempt to sexualize that scene or any attempt to sexualize like the priestess in that scene. It's that scene serves its purpose, which is to put the characters in a casual setting for them to inform the Goblin Slayer of what his next objective is. And
Well,
also brings up some character interactions between the two characters.
Well, I wasn't necessarily
the
like
thing here
asking
is
about.
this.
Yeah, sorry, go.
Wait. I just wanted to go fast. I agree that it's a casual setting, but the setting of a bath chosen purposefully for fan service because there are multiple other casual settings that have been used in the anime, like the tavern. They could have used the Sword Maiden's private chambers.
It's fan
Um,
service for the
so
Sword Maiden mainly. If you
I
watch
agree
that
that it's
scene,
fan
it's
service for
mostly
the
the
Sword
Sword
Maiden
Maiden.
mainly, but that does not change the fact that Priestess is also present, part of the fan service, even if it's to a lesser extent.
I don't really want to like mull over like which is more fan servicey, which is blah 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 blah. I just want to stick with the facts, which is I don't really care for the fan service in and of itself. And I think the scene works fine in the context of how it's being used, which is to put the characters in a casual setting to show the intimacy that the Sword Maiden is trying to show towards the Goblin Slayer, because the Sword Maiden is trying to seduce the Goblin Slayer too. Like that's part of the scene too. She's physically attracted to the Goblin Slayer and wants to get closer to him. Okay, so in those aspects of the scene, I think all those things work together to make that scene effective. I'm not particularly like interested in the fan service stuff at all. And like if you want to like qualify it by saying like, well, this scene could be taken any other place, and it's like, yeah, but like it was purposely chosen by the Sword Maiden for the purpose of the Goblin Slayer. Like to move that scene to a different place would be removing the Sword Maiden of her autonomy as a
No,
character.
no, she didn't have. She chose this because the writer made her choose it. She could have chosen a different location. She could have chosen to send the piece away when
Yeah,
she did it. Chose
it's informed by her it's informed by her character.
Yeah, but so could anything else the writer have come up with.
What
Would
other
also be informed
place
by
would
her
you
character.
use? What other place would you use?
I would have had her send the priestess away when she did it, so that the priestess would not be part
It
of the
does
fan service at all.
that wouldn't make sense for her character because the sword maiden is like a holy figure, and it's perfectly within her logic to go, oh, you're part of my flock, or you're part of my like religion or whatever. Also, you're traveling with the Goblin Slayer, therefore we're all present for this. Again, I
But
don't really
if her
what?
purpose is to seduce the Goblin Slayer, just the priestess being a priestess doesn't really
That's
matter at all. In fact, the priestess being there would perhaps impede her efforts to seduce the Goblin Slayer, as the priestess also has a crush on the Goblin.
okay. I'm not arguing. I'm not really interested in arguing characters, and because I've read the entire Goblin Slayer manga. You've read bits and pieces. Let's not make this like a literature debate where we're talking about, oh,
Well,
what are the
you brought up
possible
the
motives.
character thing as a justification
I
for
know,
why the scene was chosen.
I know, but I'm saying that because I'm making it very clear that I like the narrative aspects of that scene, not the sexual ones. Okay, I'm making that very clear.
But
So
we're not
would that be a
arguing
concession that there
on
are
the literary
sexual
aspect.
aspects to the
Or
scene?
we're not arguing on the literal aspect. I'm perfectly fine with you watching the anime for the literature aspects of it. There's plenty of anime that I watch. There's the same, like Kill la Kill, for instance. Um, but that's not what's being asked. Because if someone was to, let's
Why
say,
would you
ask
bring up
me,
Kill la
what do you
Kill?
think about? Because it's permanent, let's say, if someone was
I
to bring up Kill la Kill and then ask me, it's like, hey, what do you feel about the fact that like these are teenage girls that in the transformation go like butt booty naked, and a lot of their costumes are incredibly sexually revealing, I would say, yeah, that's pretty weird. Not a fan of that, but I enjoy the show nonetheless.
Okay, but why'd you phrase it like that?
Phrases like what?
You just phrase teenagers being butt ass naked as that's a little weird.
Why
Well,
would
I
I
mean,
phrase it like
I
that?
like, well, I mean, but again, Chronos honestly means like that's fucking weird, but he's like, it.
I know, but would you view that okay, I guess what I'm trying to get at is like with that, is that not like the same criteria that is being judged with the whole Goblin Slayer thing, if not even worse? Because that whole show is about sexual
No,
freedom.
because I'm not defending the fact that it's incredibly rude. I agree that it's incredibly rude. I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to ask for it. I enjoyed the show in spite of it, but I'm not going to say no. Well, no, it's necessary for the thematic elements of Kill la Kill. I'm not. I'm not going to.
Yeah,
Okay,
as a,
but
for
that's
clarification,
Okay.
Bull, like what we're trying to get at is like, so you can see that there's like sexual elements in the scene in Goblin Slayer, but like, would you say that like it is bad on the creator's part that they put it in there?
Not re-
they put a
I mean,
child
not.
in this.
I mean, not really,
I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, not why no?
because I think it serves a purpose, and like, and it serves a purpose narratively. It makes sense for her to be there because she is the companion of Goblin Slayer. Like, for her not to be there would not make sense because like the whole point is that they're partners. Um, and two, like, we can look. I'll make this light because I don't really want to like go into depth about this because then we can just like it's just gonna be it's just gonna be opinion based, which is just like when I watch that scene, like what I got out of that scene was like, oh, the sword priestess is very provocative, or she's very like sexual. But I never got anything from like the priestess. I just never got anything. And like I don't really want to do a side by side comparison and kind of go like, oh, well, this happened here, this happened here, this happened here. I just don't think there was anything in that scene to really to go over the line, especially when we're comparing stuff like Kill la Kill, which
Okay.
Kill la Kill by the same standard. If we're going by the same standard, Kill la Kill should be banned in every country because that shit's way worse than Goblin Slayer.
Well,
Like
Kronos'
way
argument wasn't
worse.
about whether or not we should ban the show. His argument was more so
Yeah.
about would he
Even
criticize it.
when did anyone say that we should ban Goblin Slayer?
Okay, then what's the contention here? I just said I
Well,
don't
as I understand, the
particularly
contention is
enjoy.
whether or not you would criticize the creators for it, and you just said no, right? So that seems to be what the contention is, because Comic Legend would criticize the creators for it. Based on what I've seen, I think it's fair to criticize the
Would
creators
you
for it as well
would
as...
you would you criticize the creator of Kill la Kill?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
would.
Well, I haven't
I
seen
said
Kill la
that.
Kill, or what scene he's talking about. But if what
So
It's
we're
Kill la
describing
Kill.
is
It's
in there, then
basically the
yes, I
whole
would.
show, and I would criticize the creator for. I just said it.
What aspect of Kill la Kill would you criticize? Because if you
Anything-
The fact that
criticize
they're
this, because if you criticize
the
the
fact that they're.
sexual,
I'm
if you
going to. You
criticize,
ask me. I would criticize the fact that he specifically chose, or he or she. I don't remember who wrote Kill la Kill.
it's a she.
I've only seen the anime and then the special. I would criticize their decision to make them all high schoolers.
I know, but if you don't,
instead of adult.
but if you don't make them high schoolers, the show doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
Because the whole point of Kill la Kill is two things. One, it's sexual freedom, which is the idea that schools in their uniforms create uniformity and prevent people from expressing their freedom. So the sexual part of the freedom only works in Japan because in Japanese schools, like there's so much strictness. You can't express yourself freely. You can't like do any stuff. So it's directly tied to being like an adolescent. If you make them adults, it doesn't make any sense. because
So if you make them college students, you have it take place in the college. Doesn't make any sense. Especially because college is usually the part where people most associate with discovering yourself.
I know, but the second part of it, it's about puberty too. Once you're in college, you're out of puberty.
I guess because I haven't seen the show, right? So I do want to like ask real quick so I can follow. So the thing that's like the contention in Kill to Kill is the sexualization of like high schoolers.
Well, so the whole point of Kill la Kill is basically there's these uniforms that people wear, and the main character has a uniform that basically when she puts it on, it's kind of like a magical girl sequence, but instead of her gaining like more clothes, it's like less clothes. So she's like in a she's in
she gets progressively more naked. The more naked she gets, the more powerful she ends up becoming. And then it's got different modes. It's got like a jet mode and shit.
My question is the presentation in the show, is this meant for the audience to be like disgusted by some form of abuse or corruption?
No.
Within, like, yeah, is it like, or is it like presented as like an exciting moment for
it's
moment?
It's dependent on the scene really. There are some scenes where the action is the focus, in the sense of like they're gearing up, they're fighting. It's not like this focus is not necessarily to lewd at them or whatever. But there are other scenes that make it.
There definitely is.
But there are plenty of like sex jokes in the show, and there are plenty of scenes that like people go like, "Oh, you're not wearing a lot of clothes," and they get like embarrassed or whatever. But like there are stuff in that show like that. But the point of it being is that the loss of clothes in that show and them being adolescents who are still dealing with puberty is a huge focus of the show, because that's like the main that's like the main message. What?
I would not say that puberty is a huge focus of the show.
Puberty is a huge thing in the show. Did you watch the whole show?
Yes, I did watch the whole show and the special afterwards with their clones.
Yeah, puberty is a huge thing. I mean, them being in school, like in high school and stuff like that, it's like a huge part of the show.
I guess
if you
what
just
I'm trying
remove
to
that,
understand, like, what would the
if you moved it to college, what would fundamentally change about
it? It would change a lot of things. Like firstly, a lot of like the tropes and a lot of like the archetypes and stuff they directly pull from like Japanese high school tropes, like the whole idea of the student council. There's no student council and like there's not really a student council in like college for Japanese people. There's not really that like standard there. There's also not the idea of uniformity, because when you're in college, you can do nobody in college is going to tell you.
There's definitely limits as to what you can wear and how much you can express in college.
Well, first of all, student council, that's been a thing in colleges as well. Like, I've seen that personally. But
not
like,
in Japan.
maybe it's not in Japanese universities, but like, wouldn't that kind of be appeal to reality at that point? Because maybe in this world that they're creating, that they do it in Japan. I mean, we have this all the time in TV shows, movies, where they'll change some things about how, let's say how the U.S. works. But obviously, if you were to say, well, if this is technically not in law or in culture with the U.S., it's like, well, that's kind of appeal to reality. They can change things up.
I'm not appealing to reality. I'm appealing to the author's direct intent to base the schools and the systems and the characters based off of.
No, yeah,
like
I
already
get that.
Already exist. Like they're inspirations. It's not. I don't really think it's an appeal to reality, because like I'm explaining, the author chose these specific things purposefully.
We are criticizing the author's decisions to keep it in high school when they could have chosen to make the show work the same way and move it to college. You are arguing that the student council wouldn't work and appealing to reality and that there are no student councils in Japan.
I don't think it would work as well. I don't think it would work as well. I just explained. I explained multiple reasons why.
You appeal to reality. You appeal to reality.
I'm not appealing to reality. The fact
so then why did you bring up there's no student councils in Japan? in real life.
Because that's not
Should not
that's
appear in
because that
reality.
that's because it's not a trope in Japan. You
Why
use
does it need
trope
to be a trope?
you use tropes as shorthand to express specific ideas to the audience. So yes, technically,
You can
could they
express the
could they
idea of a student council in a college. There does not need to be a student council in Japanese colleges, nor does
no
it need to be
no
like widely popular for you to use it.
no, you're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding. It's the fact that there typically isn't student councils in college. So that's one thing. Two, there's not uniformity in college. Most colleges will let you
That
wear
makes
whatever
sense.
you want. High schools and middle schools are in Japan are super into uniformity and you can't stand out type shit. That's super like common in Japan. There's also the idea of like puberty and kind of like these adolescents going through like these kind of like growing pains of growing up and stuff like that. It's like a huge part of the show. And to get rid of that, you could remove that. I'm not saying you can't make the show more palatable. Like, would it be more palatable if it was set in college? Sure. Would it be more palatable if the characters were like aged up? Sure. Would it be more palatable? Blah blah blah. But we're talking about the whole point of the show, which is to express these very specific ideas. And to criticize those specific aspects of the show, you're ultimately criticizing the entire point of the show. And if
We're
you're
not
okay,
criticizing the ideas, criticizing the vessel for those ideas.
yeah, but that's how
We
the
are
author
arguing that
intended it to
they could
be.
have. Okay, well, that's what we're saying. The author could have chosen a better vessel, and they chose not to.
Okay, okay. Anyways,
Okay.
we kind of got off track. Anyways, the only reason I'm bringing up Kill la Kill is because like we're bringing up the whole thing, which is like I had so I admitted that the sexual stuff in Goblin Slayer I'm not a huge fan of. I understand why it's there and the narrative purpose that it serves. And I also don't blame the author because I believe that authors have I give authors the ability to write whatever stories in whatever way they want to write. If I'm
Okay, well,
disgusted enough by that story to not want to read it anymore, that's my own prerogative. But I'm not going to shame
So
the
do
author
you?
for
well,
doing
I just
that.
have a question, right? So if
So
that's
wait,
if
wait,
we
wait,
don't
wait,
blame the author,
wait,
then
wait,
like
wait,
who do
wait,
we
wait, SK, wait,
blame?
wait, wait, SK, wait, wait. I have a question.
Okay.
So do you just not criticize anything ever then? If authors can write whatever they want,
No, he does. He does.
I
He,
but
I
that's not.
credit
But can't authors
I
write whatever they want? So what are you criticizing?
I don't criticize something if it's obviously the intent of the author. So like it would be like if I here's a good example. It'd be like if I criticize the author of Naruto for making Naruto's hair blonde. It's like, well, I would have preferred if he had black hair, or I would have preferred if he had blue hair. But like the intent of the author is that they made his hair blonde. So like I'm
Okay.
not going to get mad at that because that's an obvious artistic intent. Like there's no point of criticism there because you're just
But I'm
saying
asking you what you
authors.
are criticizing, not what.
I criticize things where I go like so if there's like a story development, for example, that I understand the artistic intent behind it, I know what the author was trying to do, but I say, eh, I think that scene could have been a bit shorter, or I'm not a huge fan of how that villain died,
Well, what if
or
it was their intent for
Well,
eh,
the
what
scene to
if that
be
was
that
the author's
long?
intent?
that's what I'm saying. My criticism would just be
So then, how you criticize?
that's my own personal opinion. But
yeah,
if
Bolt
but
doesn't
I'm
view
but I'm
stuff
not gonna
objective. He's like, yeah, hang on, sorry. Just Bolt doesn't view stuff like objective. He more so is just like, I understand the
Well,
vision
neither
you're
do
trying
I,
to go
though.
for, and
Like
while I
I can
respect
totally
that,
see like
I
no,
myself
yeah,
don't care for that.
I get that. Like I get that perspective, right? But like you can still like view things as subjective, but also think, huh, maybe like even if it was the author's intent, maybe this wasn't the best decision to make. If I were to maybe think of an example, clearly in like the Spider-Verse movies, they intended to connect it with like the larger MCU. I know that's the intention. I don't think that's a great idea, right? I would still criticize them for that. And similarly to like the
Yeah.
Goblin Slayer thing, it seemed like it was their intent to kind of sexualize the minor in a question, which I think is that you can criticize the intent of that. It's just that's a weird thing to
Well,
put in the
and
show.
I know what
Right.
Ryan Johnson's intent was with Luke Skywalker. He's talked about it at length. I actually agree with the intent in his ideas. And the execution was fucking god awful and absolutely horrendous.
Well, okay, but okay. This is where I kind of have to disagree. Again, we just talked about this. That scene, I saw it differently than you did. Okay?
So
I
wouldn't we
didn't. I
discuss
don't.
like the why behind it? Why do you see it this way
No,
versus why we
no,
see it this way?
not really, because the reason we don't so part of the reason why this is a difficult thing to talk about is because I'll use this as an example. Do you know what an ick is?
Sorry, what?
Do you
And
know what an
it,
ick
it
is?
and yeah, ick. Do you know
What
what
do you
that means,
mean by
SK?
that? Like
Like
An
the
like
ick
something
whole
that you just don't
you
like,
got both.
like
No,
something
an
like
ick
a
is an ick is a popular social media term that basically it's like it was popularized by like women, I guess, like on TikTok. And basically the whole idea is like, oh, you know, I don't like a man who is shorter than 5'5". That's an ick because it's an inherent like, oh, I'm repulsed by that. I don't have a
okay.
specific reason for why I'm repulsed by that, but I'm just repulsed by that. Like
Well,
that's something I'm just not.
well, to be fair,
That's something.
we do have specific reasons in regards to the show, right? The specific reason is that
Well, no,
that's
well,
we're
no,
led to believe this is a
no.
child here, and they're being depicted in a
Okay.
manner that is sexualized, as you've conceded earlier.
Well,
No,
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 that's
no,
not what
no,
both.
no.
That's not what
That,
both
that,
referring to.
that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we could go scene by scene by scene for that clip,
Mm-hmm.
and like for me, who's watched a lot of anime, who's experienced like some of like the most who's experienced some of the most like sick shit like ever, like that anime and like that medium has to offer. If you show me that scene, I'm gonna be like, oh, I don't really think they're sexualizing the priestess. Like I don't really think that's there. I don't really think that's the intent. But you, who might not be as inclined to anime as me, or even like you might have a different like way you see things, that could be an ick for you. You're like, I don't even like the idea of a girl being in a hot spring like at all, like in any context. Like I don't like her being in that scene at all. Like that would be complete, and I think that's justified. I think that's fine for you to think that way. But like we would be coming into that like discussion with just our feelings on these things.
Yeah,
Like
it's like so. What you're saying is that you're basically numb to it, while someone like SK, right? Because I don't like that stuff either. Will be like, oh, that's gross. Because it's like I get where you're coming from. Um, because like, and I hope you do mean that like you and just double check, you still are like, even though I'm numb to this, I still don't like it. But it's just the unfortunate thing that comes with watching anime. No matter how good a show is, there are gonna be
Yeah,
moments
that's
where
what I
it's
feel.
like that, and you just gotta be
it's
like, okay, whatever. Like if
That's
this,
how I feel
it's like
when I
okay,
watch
whatever.
MHA, Rising Shield Hero, How Realist Hero Built the Kingdom.
Well, I
it's
guess
just
Like,
it's just different.
well,
It's
It's
yeah,
just
just
a
different.
thing in anime.
well, yeah, well,
It's
yeah.
That
just
I just want
really,
to
different.
double check. Well, I just
It's
want to
just
double check on both that. Like, you're not saying that like you're okay with it. You're just saying I don't like it, but I'm numb to it now. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to. But I still don't care for it when
well,
it does
yeah,
show up.
well, yeah. That's a huge part of it. That it's just you. If we go scene by scene, it's just that there's not going to be any way for us to like, because like I can say like, oh, well, I don't think they're really sexualizing her. In my opinion, I don't really think that's there. Like I don't really see that. But then you're like, oh, but I see it clear as day. Like is this like we're going by our feelings on this thing,
well,
and like
we do have
I'm
some references
acknowledging
for this stuff, right? I mean that's how we back up a lot of
what.
well, I mean,
interpretations.
it's just it's a minor and she's naked. Like I understand the author did not intend to sexualize her. I will agree with that. But They did it
Okay,
inadvertently.
okay, but isn't that all that matters then? You
No,
just said the
it's not all.
author didn't intend
I,
to
yes, but
sexualize
they
her,
still
so
did
isn't
it.
that all that matters?
But they still did it.
How do
Their
you how,
intent
how
and their
do you
like
know that?
you can intend to do something, and then your actions, and then your intent. You do something, and then it has unintended consequences.
I
Right?
know, but
So they
you
did
know,
not intend to sexualize the priestess, but that is a child naked in the scene. It is sexual.
And it's
no,
not
no,
just
no, no,
like, you know,
no.
just present there. It's also done in a way where it kind of like focuses on like the specific details of the body. That's what put me off.
I don't. Okay, so I just I want to tackle these two things here. You just you admit. So I just want I want this to be clear. You admit the author's intent was not to sexualize the priestess, correct?
Kronos?
Yes, I said yes. Did I?
You just
Did I
Yeah,
okay.
make
you
make
cut
it up?
out. Yeah.
Okay. So you admit that. Okay. So we're going objectively speaking by the author's intent. The intent was not to sexualize the priestess, right?
I do not believe that's what the author's intent. I can't say objective because I'm not the author, so I don't
I
know
know,
what
but
the. I do
it's
not
I can't say
believe.
whether or
objectively.
not either. It's just, you know, maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
I do not
Can never really
personally
know.
believe the author intended to do. Whether they
Okay.
objectively did or not is up to the author.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we're on that level. Okay, good. We can work from here. Okay. So if the author didn't intend it, and you and me are getting two completely different conclusions to this, where one is like, oh, the miners in a hot spring in general, like that's a no. But I'm like, oh, I don't really think they focus on it. I don't really think they call attention to it. I think it's way more focused on the sword priestess. I think I think the I agree the intent was not to sexualize the priestess. Doesn't that just mean we just have different we have different takes for that scene?
Well, what
No,
it
because
Like we
a
have
child.
different
Wait. A child being naked on screen is inherently sexual. No.
not inherently unless you bring attention to it. Just in the same so when you
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
because I like you're like
so
because
for
I was like,
example like for example, if you were to have like let's look at like a Disney Channel movie, right? Where a
the
character is like
Incredibles.
in a bikini. Would you say that inherently having somebody in a swimsuit is sexual? Not really.
Because you go
for
to the beach and you see people in the swimsuit, but you don't go to the beach and see children naked, do you?
no, that's okay. You're not meeting me halfway, Kronos. You're not meeting me halfway. What
Well,
I'm
if
saying what I'm
let
saying
me take an example. If in a Disney movie, someone's in like a bikini or a swimsuit or beach, that is not sexual. But if a character is, well, say a woman is in, let's say, lacy underwear, I would say yes, that is in.
Or if they
okay,
were like to
good.
focus
You
on, if they were to focus on the details of their body, for example.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
good. You're understanding. You're understanding. Okay, I can work with this. Okay, so a character having a swimsuit is not inherently sexual, but for example, if they were to pose for the screen or like stretch their legs or like push up their breasts,
Or if
like
they're in
any of
lacy
that,
underwear,
you would
which is
if any
arguably
that
less revealing than
I
certain swimsuits.
okay, just listen to what I'm saying. Okay, so those actions, so the swimsuit itself is not sexual, but those actions are sexual. The reason why those actions are sexual because of intent, right?
No,
Okay, so
if
there's no
a
intent in
character can
no, 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 no,
spread their legs and not be intending to be sexual.
no. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
Do you mean the
If there's
author's intent?
no. If when a character, okay, let's just not do the spread the leg thing because obviously I missed you with that. If someone pushes up their bra to accentuate their bust, like their breasts, that's intent to be sexual, correct?
You know, that's why
That's
they're
the
pushing up
character.
the bra. Maybe they're just adjusting it.
No, oh, Kronos. You gotta meet with me
You're
halfway.
arguing intent. I'm asking you how you know that's the intent. For
Because
example, if you see a character, well, you just proved something. If you see a character pushing up their bra and it pushes up their breast, you're taking that as sexual. You just assumed that the intent is to push up their breast as opposed to just fixing their bra, and
okay,
yet you still
okay,
you assumed there was a sexual intent.
but Kronos. I'm trying to bring up the comparison of someone sitting in a bath with no intent from the camera, no intent from the author
I
to
don't agree with
specifically
that. The
to
camera actually
specifically
does needlessly fixate on like the character's body details, like needlessly.
it does it primarily with the Sword Maiden, but that's not my point.
Well, it
My
does it
point
with the
being is
child
that
too. That's the point that was originally made.
not not really.
Do we want to look
Anyways,
at the scene just for reference?
okay. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that part of a scene's intent is like that character has to specifically intend for the scene to be sexual. Okay? Like for example, like if characters are just in a bath, that in itself is not inherently sexual. But if they do a close up on like her boobs, or they they make it very clear to the audience or whatever that they're supposed to like be attracted to that, that's that's like intent from the author and and the uh art itself, that you're supposed to be sexualized, or you're supposed to be like aroused by that. And the reason I'm getting to this, and I trust me, this is go full circle, because you said that the author's intent was not to sexualize that character. Okay, so if the author's intent was not to
I
sexualize
said
that
I don't know
character,
either way.
if the author's intent was not to sexualize that character, how can that character be sexualized?
Because a child being naked on screen is inherently sexual.
I
Like
know,
you're
but
focusing a lot on the bath here,
Well, if you
but the
focus on the
bath
body
is
details,
irrelevant, right? Like for example, Avatar: Last Airbender has a scene where Toph and Katara are in a sauna, but they both have like towels fully wrapped around their bodies, right? They aren't naked on the screen. But if they were, I would say that yes, that's bad. The author should not have done that. That is inherently sexual.
well,
Put
another
naked
thing,
children on the screen.
another thing you can talk about
It's
as an
it's the
example
problem.
is
There's not the bath, right? The bath is irrelevant. They could have been on the bed. They could have been in Mount Everest. It really doesn't matter to me. The bath is a setting. We're talking specifically about the fact that the priestess, the child, naked. See that's the big hang up here. Not the fact that it's a bath.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that I don't think the intent was to sexualize her. That's what I'm trying to get
But we're
across.
not arguing about if the intent was to sexualize.
well, like
We're
I
arguing
do
about
think
whether or not the priestess being naked is sexual in nature by the fact that she is a child who is naked on the screen.
well also just something to account for. Maybe it might not be the writer's
Over my
intent,
charger.
right? But the writers aren't the same as the people that are making the art style or the people animating it. Those are two separate teams of
No,
people.
I think that's fair. If you want to say I think the animation team could have done a better job of portraying that scene accurately to how because I'm sure you're aware Goblin Slayer was a light novel before it was a manga,
Right.
and it was a manga before it was an anime. So when I hear you and other people say let's criticize the author for what the anime did, that's that's where it kind of goes, oh,
Yeah,
but how do you
I
know
can
that was the
clarify
author's
that.
intent?
Author's a bit like broad of a term because we can obviously it can refer to a lot of different people. But like if I'm more so thinking like this would probably fall on the animation team, the visuals behind it, if that's not what the author
And the
intended.
manga illustrator.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it
so
would.
so for clarification, since we're criticizing the anime and the manga, we're not talking about the man who or the woman, apology, who wrote the words on paper. The same way we wouldn't criticize What the fuck's his name? The guy who can't finish his books. Game of Thrones writer. What's his name?
What?
Game of
The
Thrones
Game of
writer.
Thrones writer.
Just who cares? Just say Game of Thrones writer.
That guy. Yeah, the same way we wouldn't like criticize.
You talking about George R.R.
that guy.
Martin?
Yes, him. Thank you. Yes, the same way we wouldn't criticize him if we were to criticize, like, if we're criticizing the writers of the writer of Game of Thrones, right? And we're talking about the show. We're not talking about George R. R. Martin. We're talking about the writers of the show. So when we're criticizing the Goblin Slayer anime and the manga, we're talking about people who worked on the anime and the manga, not necessarily the person that wrote the original light novel that had no visual element to it at all.
I know, but why would you? Okay, but why would you ask me to criticize the author then in any of those cases? Because
Because that's who we're talking about when we say the author, people that worked on
It's
I know,
like
I know,
I said,
anime
it's a
and
broad
the
term. It could refer
manga,
to the
not the
animators
light
as well.
I know, but the manga wasn't worked on by the original author. That's why I'm
Okay, but we're not.
saying.
That's what I'm explaining. When we're talking about author, we're not talking about the person that wrote the original light.
Talking about the
People
creators
that
of
worked on
this
the manga
show,
and the
this show.
anime. The people that worked on the visual aspects of Goblin Slayer, not the person that wrote the original light. That's what I'm trying to explain.
Do you have the scan? Do you have the scan of the scene in the manga?
No, but we're not. Again,
Not
we're not talking
readily.
about the manga or who created the manga. This is why I specified creators earlier, right? That's why I said, would it be on the creators, which would extend to animators, writers, or whoever's behind it.
What you said was the creator.
Well, yeah, create, like, again, it's a broad term. There's not a singular
specifically what you
person
said.
behind the creation of a project. I'm clarifying right now that I'm just mean anybody that worked on that part of the scene.
We are clarifying that when we say author and creator, we are not talking about the person that wrote the original light novel with no visual element. That is not who's being discussed when we
Talking
say
about the
creator and
adaptation,
author.
not the source.
We're discussing the people who worked on the visual aspects for Goblin Slayer.
Let's see. What chapter would it have been? Maybe chapter.
So, like, yeah, just to circle back, right? Would we, extend the criticism to the visual department for how that scene in Goblin Slayer turned out?
I think if you want to, I think if you want to say, like, I think it's fair. I think it's fair if you want to say that. I think it's fair if you want to say that the visual elements could have been done more tastefully, because the visual novel worked well without the visuals, and if we're talking about like the visual elements of it, I think that's fine. And if that's your specific criticism, which is like, hey, I think this scene would have been a lot more tasteful if it was like the light novel, where it was a bit more vague on like the specifics of the scene. Like maybe you could add more steam so it's like obvious that like you're not focusing on any characters, or or it could be done from like a bird's eye angle or something, or it could be done directly by just looking at the Goblin Slayer to reduce the focus away from the priestess. If you want to make those types of criticisms, that's fine. I just don't think the original, I don't think the author's original intent, which is the thing I care about. And when I mean author, I'm talking about the original creator, which is why when you said
that's
that,
where the
like,
disconnect, because we're
the
not talking in person. See,
We're talking about the product that we have, the final product.
so when we talk about offering, that's where I think the disconnect is, because when we're talking about offering creative, because we're criticizing a visual aspect of the product, when we refer to offering creator, we're referring to the people behind that visual aspect of the product that we are criticizing, right?
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I Again, like I said if it was I said from the very start, I said that if that scene could have been done, a little bit differently, but got the same point across, I think that would be fine, and I think that would be, a good idea. I don't think the scene lives and dies on like the sexual aspect or whatever. Um, But what I'm saying is like when we're talking about this, especially when it's a visual medium, when the original work of art wasn't in the original medium, when people ask me to criticize the author, I just don't think that's like that's not really my role, and it's not really the point
Well, let's replace
that I
author with
really
like
care about.
visual department. Would you say you
The
would
visual part.
criticize the visual department for the kid being sexualized in the
For the
scene?
same things we asked earlier.
I think it could have been done differently. I don't think it
Well, everything
I
could
don't
be
think
done differently, but I'm asking, would you criticize the visual department, the people behind that?
For this decision.
I think yeah, I think there's definitely aspects that I would criticize.
Okay.
Um I don't think it's as black and white. Like again, like I just didn't get any of that from that scene. But again, we're going
That
just
just
into opinions, which
yeah, this
is
is yeah.
like whatever. But like if you're talking about the specifics, like do you support these specific like sexual aspects? It's just like no, I don't.
Okay.
And if that's what you got from that scene, then I don't I don't think those types of things should be, present. But like if we're talking about what I got out of that scene, I don't think there was really anything like super egregious.
Well,
But if you got
could we
something
look
different,
at
that's fine.
the scene real quick just so we can illustrate like what would be egregious there? Because I mean,
I
you
don't
said it's not that
I don't
egregious, right? Which
I don't
I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I would still say even if it's like a short moment of a child being sexualized, I still think that's a pretty egregious thing no matter how long it happens for.
I don't look. All I wanted to come here and say, I didn't even expect to be here as long as I did. All I wanted to come here and say is I don't support the sexualization of children. I don't support any art that specifically preys on children. I think the sexual elements of that scene I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, but I like the scene as a narrative like part of the overarching story.
So
That's
basically,
all I wanted
setting
to come in.
that part aside, you think it works.
Yeah, I think it works.
Okay.
All I care about, I don't really care about convincing you about like the specifics of the scene. What I'm saying, what I want to get across, and this is the only thing I care about, is just making it very clear. I'm not a pedo apologist. I have never been a pedo apologist, and I want those tweets. I want those tweets taken down.
Okay.
That's all I care about. That's the whole reason I came to this conversation. I don't really want. I'm not really interested in like debating and like talking about like the specific like going scene by scene by scene. I'm not really interested in that. All I care about is that this is cleared up and that I'm not referenced as a pedo ever again by Liam or by anybody in your community.
Okay. I guess the one thing that kind of stands out is that
Like
if
there was more than one tweet. I thought it
it
was
was
just PJ.
one, I think he might have thought there were more. There was just one, as
Liam
far as I
said
could
it.
tell. Well, Liam said it, but oh yeah, he did. He did. I almost
Liam
forgot.
blatantly said it.
That's
He
just
didn't
like
say it
multiple
was
that I
you, but
forgot.
yeah, he did hint at it. So yeah, back to the whole thing. I think one thing that's still going to be harped on, as far as the discussion for it, is the specifics in the scene, and I think it's not even that much. It's just one shot that I think is like pretty evidential of the problem there.
I'm
It
just
might
not
just be
I'm just
worth
not
like
really
just
interested.
looking at it and then getting your stance on that, so it's easiest to clarify.
I'm just not really interested in that.
Okay, I mean,
Oh,
I'm the reason I bring this up is because I think it heightens the chances of a sense of clarity being met.
I made my point very clear, and that's kind of where I'm done.
but I mean, like, hang on. Sorry, I'm trying to do multiple things right here. Um, I mean, like, I get it, but like, I think SK basically he just saying that like a specific aspect because I did kind of want it's the one where like
Well,
she's
JP,
sitting
you
at the
heard it, right?
bathhouse,
Like,
and
one of the things harped on was, like, the specifics of the scene.
well, yeah, I know it's like it's the specifics like of the scene itself, and that's why I feel like this is where it's kind of hard for both parties because it's like both isn't saying, "Oh, this is perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with this." No, he's more so like, "I'm numb to this, but yeah, this, like, yeah, I don't like this. I'm not the biggest fan that they're in this bathhouse. I understand why it's there. I get the narrative reason why it's here. I get it. I just don't like it. It's the same as like I understand why you did this. I just personally don't agree with it or like it. Period. It's that. It's like I get it. I just don't like it. That's where both like stance is on it.
And I just don't think us watching the scene is really gonna do anything. And
Well, yeah, at
I
least,
just
like,
again and again, I all I came here to do was just clear up that specific aspect of it. That's all I'm interested in clearing up.
well, yeah,
Anything other than that,
I
anything
only
other than
bring
that,
this
I'm
up
not really
just so,
interested.
like, there's an insurance there, right? Just so there's an insurance that is cleared up. That's the only reason.
An insurance of what?
That
For
the
people
situation
like
gets cleared
Liam,
up.
like yeah, for people like Liam to not bring it up again.
Yeah.
I mean, surely you could just say what I said. It's just I don't
Well,
support any of that. So
I think if we just,
why would that
get
not
that,
be
like,
enough?
well, because the thing that gets us against the whole scene is like the details of it. So I think if we just take a look at it very quickly and just, very easily get your stance like, cleared up, I think that would work just fine. So yeah, I'll look up the show right now.
I'm not.
Um
I'm not really interested in doing that.
I mean,
No offense.
I mean, Bo, could you at least do it for me? Like at least for me.
I don't think there's any purpose behind it.
Well,
I mean, I
I
gave the
know, but it's
purpose, right? The
basically
purpose would be the ease of getting this finalized. It's a
I've
practicality
said
thing.
because
I've said all I
We're trying to convince comic.
Right. Because I mean,
like yeah,
I can
because
just say right now,
yeah, 'cause at the end of the day,
I
Liam
don't
is
think you're a pedo apologist. Kronos, do you think he's a pedo apologist?
Not currently, no.
Yeah. So like, it's not just
Not
like
as
you,
of
we need
currently.
convincing.
not
It's more
after
so,
not after this conversation.
yeah, not after this conversation, but like, I'm saying other people, it would be beneficial.
I
That's the
Specifically
reason.
comic books.
I just don't I don't think it I don't think it would matter because we're talking about Liam. Like
Well, like, let
so
me explain, right? So he's gonna be
Liam's
like,
not
okay, so
here.
then you don't think he's a pedo apologist. What about the scene? What did he have to say about the scene itself? Did you show him the scene? It's like, well, no, we didn't get to do that. Like, inherently, once that is said, he's going to be suspicious of us, and I think JP can back us up. He could be suspicious of that.
Like yeah, like 'cause that quote that I told him wasn't good enough. He was like, no, that doesn't make any sense because that's why it's like, dude,
Like, he's gonna
what else
find.
do you
Basically, what I'm
need?
saying is that, and I'm not saying he's doing it intentionally, but he's gonna find something to pick apart that doesn't, like, add up to him. So that's why I say it's easier for us to just go through it and have the most solidified, takeaway from it. That's the purpose.
I'm not
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, well, I mean, like, actually, I mean, do you at least like know what you like at least like want to ask Bo? Like, is it more so like, oh, like what's
Well, yeah, it's just
like,
so, like, what's I just want to, like, make sure, like, the examples of what we're talking about is shown, just so, like, it's made clear that, like, he's just obviously he's not defending that kind of stuff. It's just to make sure, like, everyone's on the same page. It's not a matter
yeah,
of this is necessary for us. It's more so like an insurance thing.
yeah, because I'm realistic, Bo. Again, I know this makes you uncomfortable. I know you're irritated by it, but it is just like I am kind of getting tired of like Liam going around saying that, and now and now PJ was running around saying it.
Yeah,
Like
because it went
you already heard
public,
from
and if we
like
can't convince them that it's false, then what reason would they have to not say it again, right? And this is like, it's kind of lucky that it was just on PJ's account, which barely has any followers. Imagine if this were like on Comic Legends, you know?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Liam does have followers, doesn't he? No, I'm kidding. Okay. JP, I heard you said that
But like,
Liam was
well, you
joking.
you
Oh
you
no.
understand the point that's being made here, right? Like here's the thing, when responded to your thing, I was just making a joke there because I just thought it would be funny. I thought, he's kind of it's kind of weird how he's framing this whole thing, so I'm just gonna drop a whole like joke here. That's the extent that I went to, but people can simultaneously see, like if they check the quotes, they'll see, oh shoot, this guy is calling him a pedo apologist. What's that about? So like that's just the simple logic I'm trying to present here. If there's no insurance to like, clarify this, completely to address every single angle they would question this on, then like there's just a chance that it just, shows up again. So that's the goal here of like, checking down every tick to make sure this just doesn't blow up again. That's the whole reason.
I don't know. I'm just
Could you at least do it for me? Like, or do you like? Or I mean, because I just made home. I was gonna like take a shower and stuff. Did you maybe want like just come back to do it later, or do you just want to do you want to say like one and
I mean,
done?
I
It's
don't
up
think
to
it should
you.
take long to
Like
be
also.
honest. Like we're just reviewing a part of the scene and we're just saying, hey, so
Don't feel
obviously,
pressure. I truly don't feel comfortable.
what's up? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, my bad. I might keep fucking up because my AirPods are low on battery. That's why. But don't feel pressured into doing. It's truly that uncomfortable.
I don't know. I think I made my points pretty clear.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, also, with both, did you want to? Well, I guess he's not here, but you did want to clarify that whole Spider-Man thing that was not meant at all to be a roast at Liam. That was literally just talking about the community itself. That was not a jab at Liam at all, correct? Because Liam thought that, like, well, actually, no.
Well, I thought it might
Did
be.
Liam
He
think that
didn't.
was a
I don't
jab
think
at
he
him?
said it was.
Okay.
I thought it
Like,
was.
yeah, because
I saw the
like,
tweet and I thought it was. I'll be honest.
yeah, no, yeah. So because both are confirming, but I'm gonna let him say like, so both you can confirm that that tweet was not aimed at anyone. It was just making fun of the Spider community as a whole.
Yeah, it was making fun of the Spider-Man community. I mean, if Liam wants to ally himself with those people, then like that's his own fault. But like it
Yeah,
was
just
not
stop. Don't
directly
say that.
it was not directly targeted to him at all. That tweet was not if I wanted that tweet to be directed toward Liam, you think I would be afraid to like specifically call out Liam? No, I wouldn't be. If I specifically wanted to attack Liam and make him feel bad, I could say a lot worse stuff, but I didn't.
Don't do that. But that
I
does go
felt
both ways.
hatred
That's
when you
not.
said.
By the way, let me clarify. That goes both ways because Liam would do the same thing with both. It's one of those things where they both have mutual hatred for each other. So it's like, okay,
I felt the hate in those people. I could
those
feel it. I
Right?
could feel
Those people.
And
What
I
do you
did,
mean
I
by
could
that?
feel the
Those people.
resentment.
What do you mean by that?
Those people.
Spider-Man fans.
like, yeah. Also, I did want to say, I know you guys didn't start off on the best foot basket. Would you say that this obviously doesn't change your full mind, but would you say that this makes you a little bit softer with books? I know first one was very heated, but would you say that this was a
Well,
better
as
like
long as
talk
things
with
are
him?
productive or things move smoothly, yeah, I think that would definitely help my perception here. I'm always willing to change it
Those
based
studies.
on what happens. Um, Still think
Those
like
about
Yeah,
to
but it
say
won't
the
be
past
Bruce
convinced.
stuff was
I
told me
mean,
really
this is
how
pro.
he presented himself. Um,
you can't change everything. I try to make you like Taz of one, but no, it's so bad. Oh man, I freaking
yeah,
hate every
unfortunately, it's still
Spider-Man
bad.
movie. Like it was like, man, oh, I freaking hate Homecoming. I hate Far From Home. Like, yeah, you lame, no fun, hate you.
but but yeah, yeah, it's just I guess if we can't go through the scene, then I suppose I'll just relay what we have here. If there's any more questions, I don't know. I guess I'll just have to ask the chat about it.
Okay, okay, like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, if they need me, I guess like let me know. But I'm pretty sure you and Kronos can handle that from there, and just tell PJ like, yo, like
Yeah.
I'm assuming after this you're gonna tell PJ, yo, delete the tweet. What? Duh? Delete it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hop in as well, go ahead.
It would
Okay.
it would be delete his tweet and delete Liam's tweet.
Liam didn't make a tweet about you. Wait, did he?
He did.
Yeah,
He
he
did.
did.
He made
It
a
was
tweet
just it was a light
alluding
one.
to it. He didn't name him directly.
Yeah,
He didn't bring him up by name, or it would never be
Yeah,
mentioned
but
a specific
yeah, but
individual.
anyone in his community would know what that meant.
Well,
Oh,
anyone
yeah,
who already knows about the joke would know.
Well, yeah, but like that's all it took. Again, it's like oh yeah, whoever knows the joke, PJ knows the joke, and then people are like, oh well, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, okay.
regardless
Yeah,
of whether or not it was
we get the gist of it. We'll know what to address.
Yeah.
Alrighty. In that case, we'll be heading back, and we will say what we have.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks. All right. All right. Thank you both for being patient with us.
For sure. All right. Have a good one. Goodbye.
All right.
Bye.